Today on Real Talk. Something many have come across but rarely have paid close attention to. If the proper attention was given to it, more and more will accomplish greater success and experience deeper happiness. What is that, you ask? We are talking about better understanding red flags. Though sometimes confused with deal breakers, the two are different. Deal breakers are things people know they don't want, but red flags are things they tend to miss. It is the first step to leveling up your love life or making that professional business power move. Today on Real Talk, understanding and identifying red flags will give you the insight you need to save your time, energy, effort, and most of all, allow you to make sound decisions in every area and aspect of your life.
I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continuously be in my mouth. Well, I want to welcome you to Real Talk, a program by women for women because of women. I want you all right now to just do us a favor and go ahead and click that share button right there with the tablet, the phone, the iPad, the laptop, whatever you're using. Be the hands of Jesus right now. Click that share button so that others can also be part of this program today, because we're going to be talking about a topic that is extremely important. So here to help me today, I have our friend Claudia.
Hi, everybody.
And we have Miss Janet here as well. So
Hello,
we're going to be
guys.
talking here today about red flags. Red flags are everywhere. And sometimes, you were talking before the program, you said sometimes what could be a red flag for one person is not necessarily a red flag for somebody else. So, I want to be able to interact with you all that are connected. We want to hear your comments. We want to interact with you. So don't think twice before just getting on and putting a comment, or if you have a suggestion, or if you have something that to you is a red flag that maybe we don't mention here and you want us to touch topic on that as well, feel free to comment in the commentary part. All right, ladies. So red flags, red flags, red flags. What exactly is a red flag to you all?
Well, to me, in a relationship, a red flag is something that the other partner do that I am not willing to accept. I am not willing to compromise. I'm not willing to live with. So red flag for me could be something, say my husband is bossy and or love to control the cash, and I'm not willing to live with that. For Miss Claudia, it could be okay because she doesn't want to handle the finances at all. Mm-hmm. So red flag for me could be something different than it's for her.
True.
So
true.
That's it.
I agree. I mean, I think that our upbringing, our culture
Mm-hmm.
can really vary in our perspective of what a red flag can mean for each one of us. But, I think not even so much in relationships, but also in friendships,
Yes.
right? We can also have red flags in friendships that might take a while for us to have an awareness about. So it could be anything.
Yeah. And the thing too that we want to make very clear here today is that when we're touching topic on these red flags, we have some topics that we're going to be talking about that could be potential red flags. But we have to make it very clear that just because we're talking about it as a red flag doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that a person has to be willing if you really want to be in that relationship or friendship, or you just have to be willing to recognize these red flags and understand that most likely I can't change that in that person, and that person has to be willing to put up with those red flags and hold on to those red flags and not put up a white flag after and say, hey, you know, I'm done with your red flag, you know, I'm done with you. You know, we really have to take into consideration what these red flags are even before making a real commitment, because God will show us what the red flags are.
He will. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to evaluate, like, how much are we really willing to chew, right?
Yeah.
How much are we willing to take? Is this something that if the other person doesn't see it as a red flag, if they're unwilling to change, are we willing to keep that relationship going, you know, despite of that, and overlook it?
Yeah, and it is a personal decision.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
a person has to, I can't go and say, oh, you know, you saw that red flag, you shouldn't put up with that red flag. That's something that individually a person has to make that decision. So what I want to do, what we were talking about here today, you see this table here, we have this glass table here. I want you to picture this table as your life. Your life. You know, and I want you to just see this table it's clear, there's nothing here right now, but I want you to picture this table as your life, and in a little while, you're going to start seeing what we're trying to teach you here today. So we're going to start with one thing that can be a red flag. Who wants to start with? Each one of us got a few things that can be a red flag, and I'm saying if you have something as well, let us know. Comment in the commentary and let us know. Who wants to start with what could be potentially a red flag?
All right, I got the first one then. I'll volunteer myself in. A guy is just meeting you, all right, and he's already telling you he loves you. What do you think about that one?
He's just meeting you and he's already...
Within like a day or two, he's already telling you he wants to marry you, that he loves you. Would you see that as a red flag?
I think I would see that as a red flag in terms that would show me that there's probably something wrong with him, in a sense, with his self-esteem, maybe.
Okay. How about you, Miss Janet?
I would think that because he doesn't know you yet.
Right.
He doesn't know if you're a vampire, if you're, you know, the devil from hell, and he's already ready to marry you. No, you could be. I mean, looks is deceiving. We know that.
Right.
I mean, Mac and a good hairdo and a couple of nails on your hand, you could do wonders. So when he comes in and he see all of that, he doesn't even know if you snore. He doesn't even know if you're clean. He doesn't even know you could cook.
Doesn't know your past.
Doesn't know your past.
Doesn't know anything about you.
So to me, that will definitely be a red flag. You can't love me. You don't know me. You know?
I would look at it personally like someone who's already emotionally unstable, right?
Correct.
Someone who is already basing so much on such a strong emotion, and so quickly in the long run, I think that could be future issues.
Yeah, because that could actually even show that emotionally he's
not
unstable.
Exactly.
If someone can just outcome just like that and say, "Hey, I love you," you got to background check that.
And then you have to look, what does love mean to him?
Exactly.
Love could mean the way I looked that particular day. My hair was done. I had my makeup right. Nothing was out of line. When you see me when I just wake up, without my hair, without my makeup on, are you still gonna say, "Oh, I love you, I want to marry you"?
And I think especially during first impressions, right? Because we always try to put out our best to give a good impression. But obviously, as time goes, you start to let
yourself.
that person know who you really are. You start to get irritated at certain things. And so it's really difficult to say to someone that you love them based on a first impression, because you don't really know that person yet.
At all.
Right?
Yeah.
So that will definitely
All
be a
right,
red
so
flag.
that's my number one.
All right, there's a red flag.
Yes,
okay. Jan, what do you have that may be a red flag?
I would say no work ethics.
No work ethics.
No work ethics. You meet him probably out for, maybe you met him jogging with his dog. Nice. And you started to talk to him, and then you said, so, okay, I'm a secretary. I work in the church, whatever. And he said, what do you do? Oh, I'm in between jobs right now. Ding. a bell would go off my head. You're in between jobs. And so, where do you reside? If right now I'm with my mom, ding, a bell would go off, because if you're in between jobs and you're still living with mom, something is wrong. You know, come on, you're 45 and you're in between jobs, you're walking your dog, at least you have some kind of responsibility, but you have no job. And then the relationship probably start, and we started to talk, but then you never go to the interview, or you got to the interview late. And then I asked you, so when was your last full-time job, or a couple years ago? That would ring a bell, because then you have no work ethics, you have no stability. There's no one you could say, oh, I work for Johnson & Johnson for 20 years, I worked for Johnson & Johnson for 15 years, you know, or maybe you might bounce upon his resume and realize that it's 2 days here, 6 months here, one, you know, no work ethics, you know, nothing to show.
I think, Miss Janet, even someone who's constantly jumping around from job to job and
Correct.
always has a complaint about the place
place,
that
yeah.
they're leaving,
Yeah.
right? It's always the boss's fault. It's always the coworker's fault.
Or getting fired.
Or getting fired, which
Yeah,
is even
constantly.
worse.
Yeah, which is even worse.
It shows
Yeah.
lack of accountability.
Lack of accountability. Yeah.
And Jan, because you brought that up, right? If that happens to be a red flag, that a woman that's in a relationship, she's dating somebody, she sees that. If she, let's just say, if she were to ignore that red flag, right, and just say, you know what? Because I think a lot of women, we're going to be really real here today. There's a lot of women right now in the days that we're living in, they're in a place of desperation, where they just feel like time is against them. I just got to get married. I have to get married. I have to get married. I have to get married. And we talk a lot about this during when we were doing our women's fellowship prior to the pandemic, is that we can't get to a place where we can put our life in the joy and the peace of our life at risk because we want to be accompanied with somebody. And I think in the case of that there, like if a woman says, you know what, I do see that red flag, but I'm independent, I work, you know, I don't
I
mind.
can take care of myself.
I don't mind taking care of him. I don't. How would you say, like, if they get into that, it's all new and dandy in the beginning, but into the years of a real relationship, how can that affect a woman?
I think it will affect her tremendously. First, after a while, when you settle in and you get used to him, you're going to want to know that he can go out and make $1 to help you. You're going to get frustrated at some point. And if children comes into play, if it reaches the stage where you get married to him, and now you have a child with him, so now you have even more responsibility of a child, the bills to pay, the rent, the mortgage, the child to go to school, and you're sleeping every day while I get up and go to work, you're going to get frustrated. You're a human being. The human side of you is going to be like, why am I? And then people are going to be talking. Your friends are going to be saying, did you get a job yet? No. Oh, I know so-and-so is hiring. Let him fill out a resume. He fill out the resume, and then when you call him, he's still sleeping. Oh, I didn't go to the interview because I overslept. It's going to annoy you. So it's going to affect you. Man is supposed to take care of their home.
I agree.
They're supposed to take care of their home. And if we, the woman, allows them to just sleep, relax, oh, he's staying home, he's helping me out, but he's really not. You're spoiling him, and it's going to come back to haunt you.
Yeah, and there's a lady here that wrote, Lady Nadine, she wrote something. She says, how about asking the questions as to why is he in between jobs?
Definitely.
Why is he living at mom's? She says, until you ask, you won't really know. And then she says, we can't just judge based on what we see. So if you're in a relationship, what she's saying is, if you're dating someone and you want to be serious in that relationship, but you see that he's in between jobs, you see that he can't keep a job. What she's saying is, why don't you just ask the questions as to why? Because what she's referring to is there could be a reason why he can't keep a job, but that's also a problem.
But I would say the reason why he can't keep a job, because he's always in between jobs.
Exactly.
So why are you always in between jobs? I mean, if there's a pattern, something is wrong.
Exactly.
If there is a pattern, something is definitely wrong.
I'm going to give my card to you because it goes with yours. It's a lot of lack of motivation and setting goals.
Yeah.
right?
Motivation
Like,
setting
how are
goals.
you going to
Yeah.
start a life realistically? You know, how are we going to make future plans with someone for the long run? Because women always want to make plans for the long run, right?
Yeah,
I
most
want
of
to know
us.
what my life is going to
Look like.
consist of and look like with you and settling down with you. How are you supposed to make plans with someone if they can't even hold down a job? They
Yeah.
can't even make goals. You know what? I'm in school right now, or I just left another job, but this is my goal. I mean, set realistic goals.
Right.
So that at
Right.
least you know, okay, we're heading in the right direction. If
Yeah.
they don't know what they're doing
And
with their
she's
life,
right. Communication is the key. We need to ask questions. But sometimes when we ask these questions and we get the straight answer, we turn the other cheek. Because back to what Miss Liz says, we want to have a partner. We want the relationship
Exactly.
to work. If he's telling me I'm living with mom now for 7 years, come on.
Why?
Why are you living with
Yeah.
mom for 7 years?
I'll address that one because I have a 30-year-old brother, soon to be 31, who actually still lives at home. Okay, and he's a police officer. He's a full-time police officer. He actually has 2 jobs, so he is working. He does have the finances to move out and live by himself. Actually, he's in the process of doing that now, but it took him, you know.
But I sure while he was there, Claudia, he carried his own weight.
Not necessarily. Okay, I think
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
my parents, in a sense, enabled him to not do anything at home. He was comfortable.
Which is
He was
also a
comfortable.
problem because
Yes.
that's what they
Yeah.
learn.
And
To make it, to have a man unlearn
Oh,
what
it's
he
so hard.
learned. See, that's a
It's
red
hard.
flag. You have to be willing. You got to go into relationships knowing this is what he learned. This is who he is.
Yeah.
Am I okay for the rest of my life if he doesn't change? Supporting him in waving this red
Waving this
flag.
red flag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
But
you have to know what you're getting into.
But
Yeah.
he's finally in a place now where he's like, I'm 30. I wish I was married already. He loves kids. He wants to have a family. And, you know, we as a family, well, luckily he has 2 older sisters. Unfortunate for him. We're like, dude, you need to move out. It's time for you to be on your own and start life because you're not going to be able to meet someone, marry someone, and start a family if you don't even know what it looks like to have the financial responsibility of running your own place. So sometimes they're just comfortable.
But that's a huge red flag right there, John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
that needs a red flag there.
Here, I'm
So,
going to put mine with
yeah.
yours.
Yeah,
So
that
we put
is,
it together.
you know, just put one of those red flags on top of there, because that right there, that is a red flag. Because listen, it can be okay in the beginning, but sooner or later, as you grow older, as you mature, you will get tired of.
Yes, you will.
You do
will.
get tired of it.
You
And you're
do.
like, wait a minute, come on.
And
You
I
know?
think women, I can speak for myself. I don't know if you feel the same. Like, I'm independent. I'm very independent. I've always been goal oriented. But as a woman, I want to make sure that my husband has my back, that he's going to take care of me.
You got to feel
Yes.
stability.
Like,
Yes.
I want to feel
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
stability. So no matter how independent you are, every woman, I think, has the urge to feel like they're being taken care of.
Correct.
Yeah. I do have something here that Carrie text, a comment she wrote. She says, a red flag to her is when a person is telling you about themselves in a positive way, but you observe different. The fruits don't add up.
That's big.
And that is big, because listen to me,
Yeah.
girl, 1 + 1 will always equal 2.
2. Yep.
If it's equaling 0, if
Or
it's, he's trying to make
22.
it equal 22 or 4, that is a red flag. But again, is it wrong? See, this is the thing. Is it wrong? Not necessarily. That could be his personality. You know, his personality could be talking positive about himself all the time, even though it doesn't show up. But are you willing to carry that red flag all the time?
I don't know. I can't see a tree saying I'm a fig tree and I'm bearing oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
have
mean?
a
Like
problem
that
with
takes that. I think that falls along
Yeah.
the line of, is he really being responsible and accountable and honest with himself?
Truthful, yeah. Yeah.
Because I think for a relationship to work, there has to be a lot of
Straight up.
self-honesty. You know?
All right, Julianne. Julianne wrote, when they love bomb you, it can be a red flag. They tell you everything you want to hear, do all nice things, shower you with gifts and compliments, and seem perfect. in heaven sent too soon before you get to see their ugly side, because the goal is to get your heart invested and your eyes blinded to the truth of their character.
That's a good one.
Yes, that's a good one. Yeah.
I like
But
that
I think
response.
it's our responsibility as females going into a relationship. I mean, you have to put them to the test. I really think
agree.
you should put them to the test. You know what I'm saying? You have to lay your boundaries down early. You know, what I'll do and what I won't do, what I'll accept and what I won't accept. If you just, because again, you want someone so bad and you want this love, then they'll really love bomb you. And if you see they're coming so much to love bomb you and just give you, oh my God, this is what he tell me. I don't believe nobody ever given me rose before, or so many roses. Because a bouquet of roses is okay, but if you give them like around 7 or 5 dozen roses of different color at the door or at the office, that will blow their mind, blow their heart. But then you have to have yourself in check. That's why it is important for us to know ourselves. You know, the roses won't attract me because the roses will die. Or the expensive gift won't attract me because it will die, because you're just getting to know me. And then that's where you have to know yourself to put them to the test.
Yeah.
Put them to the test.
Shouldn't be able to be bought so
You
easily.
shouldn't be able to be bought
Well,
so easily.
I think women all want to feel like they're being swept off their feet, right? We all want to feel in some way, whatever it takes for you or me or you, that we're being swept off our feet in some manner, whether it's with roses or you
The
know,
gift.
gifts. I would say letters, but nobody writes letters anymore. But I think that going into, if I look at myself today, knowing what I know today, going into a relationship in today's age, you have to go with the mentality of really testing the person.
Yeah.
Really being like, okay, besides the exterior,
Yeah.
what's in
Yeah.
the inside?
Right.
Like, what
Right.
are your intentions? Who
Right.
are you really? You know?
Yeah. You know,
And this just goes to the second question that I have. Well, number 6 I have on my thing. Look at the inner circle. Because one of the way you could test them, see who their friends are.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're going out with them and said, I'm going out with our friends, and if you go out with their friends and you're there and their friends are there with their fiancé or wife-to-be, and all they talk about is bashing women and oh, no woman can talk to me like that, or I would hit her, or I would put her in her place, or I would throw her out. You look at the inner circle, because your inner circle, male or female, have a lot to do with the character that you has.
That is so true.
It has a lot to do,
That-
because
well-
if you're around a person who's always abusive, one of these days you're going to get probably upset and hit your wife too, because he's always hitting his wife and say, oh, I had a big argument today, I had to slap her across her face and put her in her place. That's the type of friend my fiancé is hanging out with. That's a red flag for me, because if he think that's okay to socialize with his friends and talk about how he hit his girlfriend, you might think it's okay to hit me. And this black girl is not going to take it.
Well, I remember.
You see what I'm saying? So it's something that the inner circle is very important for us to look at.
My mom used to tell me and my sister growing up, show me your friends.
And I'll tell you who you
are.
are.
Right? And
your
I
inner
think that
circle
goes
speaks for you.
absolutely.
for the person
Yeah.
that you're trying to get to know and to date. Just see who their friends are, and you'll get a better picture of
And
who
it
they
goes
really
both
are.
ways. If you're a guy and because guys have red flags also, and you're dating a girl and she said, oh, we're going to go with a bunch of girlfriends, and they went out and everybody's loud and boisterous and talking about, oh, look at his arm, look at this guy's arm, look at his chest, you know, so flirty. I mean, that's what she's going to do when you decide to marry her. She's going to still want to go with those same girlfriends, and that's what they're going to be doing. That's a red flag.
You just actually brought my red flag up right now. He or she likes to flirt with the opposite sex and doesn't see any issues with it.
Nah,
okay, so what do you, listen, oh my God.
I mean,
Yeah, that
I know some people are more charismatic than others.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
they like to
yes.
joke around.
But there's a line.
There's a line,
Yes,
right? I
yes.
agree. I don't
Yeah.
think I'd feel too comfortable
Nah.
with having my
What do
husband.
you all think about
Flirt with
that?
another
What do
woman.
you all think about that? You know, because that is, I mean, again, you have to take in consideration the culture, the upbringing. You have to take into consideration whether you'll be okay with that, because right now you could know who the other friend is, but down the line you may not know who the other friend may be, and that could be a problem. So that is a red flag. I mean, to me, that's a red flag,
I agree.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
would have an issue with that.
I have something here that I actually is a red flag. When this is is serious as well as these here. The importance when you're getting to know somebody, and the importance when you're dating somebody, is to know about that person, is to get to really know that person. So I have a red flag where, let's just say a gentleman is dating a woman, and she has experienced abuse in her past. That's going to be a red flag, because is it something? Actually, I'm going to put my flag there already, because this right here, I can talk on it because I've experienced that. The thing is that when you're dating, or you're dealing with someone who has experienced abuse, whether it be sexually, physically, emotionally, or what have you, you have to take into consideration that you're going to have to deal with that as well. You didn't do it, but you're falling in love with someone who was a victim of that. So everything that she's still going through to be healed from, you're going to be part of that as well. So that's something that when you talk in a relationship and you know that a person has been abused in the past, you have to understand, okay, you have to go into that relationship already knowing that I may confront things that somebody else won't confront who hasn't been through that. I may have to bend more in my relationship with her than my friend bends with his wife, who's never experienced something like that, because it's a different scenario.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
It's a whole different scenario. You see, the thing with the red flags is God shows you what the red flags are, and you have to really pray on those things and really see if you are willing. See, the thing comes down to, am I willing
It's a choice.
to put up with that red flag? Am I willing to go through that with that person? Do I love her enough to be at sometimes a punching bag for her frustration when she's going through moments where sometimes those things can come back at her? Am I willing to go through? And sometimes you don't even know all that you're going to go through, but at least you know that there's a red flag there. She's been through this trauma. Am I willing to help her through that trauma?
And with that, there are triggers. Whenever you're abused sexually or physical or even emotional abuse, there's triggers. Maybe the first time you have a argument and you slam a door, that could be a trigger for that person.
Yeah.
The slam of the door reminds her what happened the last time with her, or what happened. And that could be a trigger and switch her into a mood. And as you said, are you willing? Because in that type of relationship, there will be triggers, several things. A music could trigger you.
Yes.
A scent could
scent,
trigger you.
yeah.
The way you talk to me, the tone, I'm speaking to you now, don't walk away from me. The tone could trigger you. So that's something you really have to think about.
And I think it's important for the person that suffered the trauma to be willing to work through it as well, right? You can't use it also as an excuse for everything that you do.
Correct.
Right?
But that's where healing comes in.
Getting to know what your triggers are and being mindful that,
Yeah.
but
something you just said, you said that's when healing comes in. The thing is that, I can speak for myself. When I entered into the relationship with my husband, I was still going through the process of healing. And I thought I was completely healed until certain things came up again. And, it's hard when you're trying to get over it, when your mind is telling you that you're over it, but then something triggers. And then you find yourself back in the place where you thought you came out of. And you're trying to explain. See, and the thing is that shame kicks in.
Yeah.
And you feel like you can't explain 100% of it, because you're afraid that the person that you're falling in love with will refuse you now because you're damaged goods.
Yeah.
Or
But your mind tell you you're damaged goods.
right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's something that I had to go through, but he didn't know the extent of it. And he later found out a little bit more, and he had to be willing to say, all right, you know what, I have to find out what it is that triggers you, what doesn't trigger you, and we need to talk this thing through.
Yeah.
And that's when the real complete healing comes
Yeah.
in,
You have
because
to expose it.
yeah, exactly.
It's like a wound, you know. You put a Band-Aid on it and said, "Oh, nobody's seen it, so I cover it up." But we know when you put a Band-Aid on a wound, the heat will fester it, and anything will just make it pop. So it's the same thing with the trigger. So you have to take that Band-Aid off, as she said. Talk about it. You know, both of you guys talk about it. See what's working, and then put in the antibiotic, which is, "I still love you. That doesn't change anything. You're still my wife. You're the mother of my children. We're gonna make it through." That's the antibiotic that's gonna heal that wound. So then in a couple of months or a couple of weeks, you realize, that doesn't face me anymore.
So
Yeah,
there's a lot of hope
but
there.
it takes a
Yeah.
lot of the other
Yeah, it's
half
yeah,
coming
it's a
in and
partnership.
saying,
Yeah,
and he has to be willing to even get backlash for stuff he didn't do,
yeah,
Wow.
because you're still healing.
yeah.
You know, you don't want to
No.
but
you
you're
can't
still,
help your response
Yes,
you're,
sometimes.
you're
Yes.
still healing
Yeah.
from it, and that's something that's a huge red flag, because when you're getting into a relationship and you know that there has been some sort of abuse, you need to be you need to say, you know what, okay, I and sometimes they don't even know until after they get in.
Because the shame,
The
they
shame.
don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it, you're fearful that if you
Yeah.
do say it,
That's it.
they're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna go look for, a nicer lady who don't have issues, because anybody who's been through any type of abuse, whether physical, sexually, emotionally, mental, they all have excess baggage
Yeah,
that they carry, and the person that's in that relationship has to be willing to empty out that baggage with them. And a lot of times it can get really hard,
yeah.
But
But I know that if you don't open up the bag, the worms won't come out.
yes,
And if you don't open up the bag, the worms will just multiply. So you have to open up the bag and shake them out. You got to shake them out. You got to shake
Yep.
them out. And
Yep.
then you could get rid of them one by one by one, and that's healing.
And it's a slow process.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It is.
yeah. All right, listen, we're gonna be right back. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna be right back with your program, Real Talk. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Something many have come across but rarely have paid close attention to. If the proper attention was given to it, more and more would accomplish greater success and experience deeper happiness. What is that, you ask? We are talking about better understanding red flags. Though sometimes confused with deal breakers, the two are different. Deal breakers are things people know they don't want, but red flags are things they tend to miss. It is the first step to leveling up your love life or making that professional business power move. Today on Real Talk, understanding and identifying red flags will give you the insight you need to save your time, energy, effort, and most of all, allow you to make sound decisions in every area and aspect of your life.
God has revealed to me my
All right, welcome back to Real Talk, a program for women by women because of women. So we're talking today about red flags, red flags, red flags. And I was going through some of the comments that are being made here, and all of these things are awesome and powerful red flags to look for. You know, but we have a question here. Can we be in a relationship? Can we be so different and yet still be able to connect in a lifetime relationship? And the answer to that is absolutely. And I wanted to read a scripture that I was sharing with the ladies here. 1 Corinthians 1:10 says, I urge you believers in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you be in full agreement in what you say, and that there be no divisions or factions among you, but that you perfectly be united in your way of thinking and in your judgment about matters of life. So yes, you can be completely different, but you have to understand that it's a mindset.
I agree.
You see all of these differences in relationships, and not just love relationships, but friendships, family relationships. You see all of these differences. You have to have a mindset that I'm going to come into full agreement in my mind that I'm going to make this, I'm willing to make this thing work, but also willing to accept what is a red flag to me, that to them is something that's normal. Like, for example, you take a perfect example of a young man or a woman, or, you know, whatever age they are, and they're dating. Let's just say there's a man and a woman dating. He comes from a rough background. He comes from he has a rough upbringing, a single parent home. Okay, let's just say he comes from a low income home. You know, he has no what's that word? Etiquette.
Etiquette.
Yeah, etiquette.
Yeah.
And now
Table
he's
manners.
dating. He's dating this young girl now who is complete opposite. She comes from a pampered upbringing. She's been pampered all her life. She had a mother and father in her life her whole time. She comes off from a well-off financially family. I mean, let's be real, because that's a huge difference there. So this woman gets into this relationship. She can't say, oh, you know, later on down the line, oh, it's just not going to work. You know, after you've invested so many years. I mean, you already knew that he was rough around the edges. You knew the background that he has. You knew how he was brought up. You know of his character. You know of his ways. And the thing is that you have to get to a place where you say, you know what? I see all that, but I'm getting into this relationship. And this is the problem that a lot of women, they go through. They get into this relationship seeing all of these red flags, but they say, I'm going to change him.
Yeah.
He's just too rough, but you know what? Along the years,
Yeah.
I'm going to change him. You can't change nobody.
No.
Yeah. I think
Only God can do that. You can't
Yeah,
change
yeah,
nobody. And sometimes God don't have an issue with him being like that. That's just, is it wrong that he's
No.
rough around the edges? Is it wrong that he has no etiquette? You know, it's not wrong. It's just there's a difference.
Yeah.
Are you willing to put up with what could possibly be an issue down the line? You know, you have to get into the relationship already understanding this could be an issue, but am I willing? And sometimes you have to be, you know, truthful with yourself and say, you know what, I'm not.
It's not important.
And I think
to me.
it goes back
Yeah.
to the word
Yeah.
that you just gave, that you have to be, there has to be a mutual agreement, right? There has to be a mutual understanding. There has to be mutual respect. If you go into a relationship seeing all those red flags and with a mentality like, I can change him, we can't change anybody.
That in itself,
You
that in
can't change
itself is a
anybody.
red flag. if you
That in
think that.
itself is you're
yeah.
your own red flag
Flag.
on that one because you can't.
You can.
You
You
can.
can. But you have to be willing to, as Miss Liz said, am I willing to accept that?
Exactly.
Is it a big deal for me? So what if he doesn't know what knife to use at the dinner table? There's no etiquette. What if he wants to eat with a spoon and not with a knife? Because those things happen. You know, in Trinidad, when I went to Trinidad, everybody there eat with a spoon. Most people. They don't, knife and fork is not a big thing. And I was like, okay, soup is only for spoon, not for rice and meat and salad. But they just like to eat with a spoon. I'm not gonna, if he's a good guy overall, I don't think I want to run away just because he eat with a
Because
spoon.
with a spoon.
You know,
Yeah,
so it's,
that would be a
yeah,
little petty. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it
That would
you
be
know.
a bit petty.
So for everybody, it's different.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
different.
Absolutely.
Well, I have something to ask you, ladies. So, what do you think about someone, and it could be someone in a relationship or a friend, it could go either way, that never takes responsibility and sees everyone else has the issue? So, tackle that one.
Girl, that's hard. It's hard because when there is no accountability, you know, it's very hard for that relationship to go forward because everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody.
And if one is constantly in a place where they throw the blame on the other, sooner or later that other one is going to get to a place where they're going to be like, you know what, I can't
Yeah.
do it no more.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but that was a red flag already prior to getting into. See, what we're talking about is red flags that you see prior to getting into a serious relationship. You know, because if you're in that relationship and now you're starting to see those red flags, God will give you the grace and the strength that you need if you're willing to get through that. But when God begins showing you these things prior to that, you know, getting into that serious relationship, then you have to make a decision.
And you know, Miss Liz, you could be in a relationship and a red flag, as we talk about here, pop up. You didn't see it before, but it just shows itself. Now, you could go to that person and tell that person, this is a red flag for me. This is where communication comes in. This is a red flag for me. I don't like, or it bothers me, or it annoys me, or it rubs me the wrong way. Whatever term you want to use when you do X, Y, Z. Now, look at maturity. The other partner will say, oh, I didn't know that. I'll work on that in the future. I'll try not to raise my voice, or I'll try not to do this since it bothers you. And that's how relationship grows.
Right,
But
right.
so you could have a red flag, but if you point it out to the partner, and it goes both ways, he could point something out to you, you know, when I come in and, you know, you just totally ignore me, it kind of rub me the wrong way. I feel like I'm not appreciated. I feel like I'm not a part of this home. You're so taken up with the kids, or maybe you're on your phone with your friends. I walk through the door, no hello honey, no how are you? That's a red flag probably for the guy. And if he bring it to your attention as the wife, so it's your responsibility not to say, oh honey, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. And then this is it, communication
And maturity.
and maturity.
Maturity.
So that's it.
If you don't have the maturity, it's going to be very
So,
difficult.
I mean, red flags can be brought up from either side. And once the person on the opposite side bring the red flag to you, it's your responsibility. If you want this thing to work, to say, oh, man, I didn't know that really bothered you that much. Guess what? I'll try not to do it again. I'm going to work on this. The genuineness of that alone, the humbleness of that alone will make you see that, hey, this could work out. This could work out. Yeah.
As long as both are willing.
Both are
right?
willing, yeah.
Both are
Both
willing.
are
Yeah,
willing,
that's definitely
yeah.
a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to put that down there as your red flag?
Well, I didn't have that one, and that one is popping to my
That was added on.
head.
Yeah.
So how about a friend?
You know, I could use this, incapable of apologizing.
Absolutely.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
definitely
That's
it.
definitely, yeah.
What do you think about a friend or someone that you're in a relationship with that needs constant validation and is possessive? That wouldn't work with me. I'll just say that. Like
Yeah.
I kind of that's too much work.
I'll go back again. Now, this again comes with communication.
I agree.
If you communicate with the person and said, listen, I respect the friendship. We have been friends for so many years, but Can I be honest with you and tell you something that please don't take it offensive. Please, I don't want to destroy our friendship. If that friendship could stand something like that, then you know you could continue. Because you could tell the person said, wow, I didn't even realize that. I have had friends who constantly talk. I mean, the minute you said hello, I mean, and I'm like, okay. And I listen.
That phone call is you need to prepare for that conversation.
And I listen, but one day I just decided, I'm going to say something to my friend. And I said, you called me yesterday, we talked for almost an hour, and I know everything that happened 2 weeks prior. And you didn't even ask me, so how was your day? And the person actually started to cry because they was like, they didn't even realize.
They were oblivious to it, yeah.
They didn't realize. So sometimes we have to bring it to their attention. And if you bring it to their attention and they get offensive, well, I don't even know how you go about that. You just tell them, I didn't mean to offend you. I just want to let you know because maybe you do it to somebody else. And they're offended by it and pull away from you without acknowledging it. But I think maturity again. If you're mature enough and if you're responsible enough, when a friend tells you something, you should receive it.
I agree.
That's true.
I think you need open communication
Yeah,
in friendships.
that's what builds friendship,
like
I
you
think.
need in a relationship.
Correct.
But I think that if it's someone who's extremely possessive and doesn't want to share you with other friends, or
It's toxic.
that's toxic.
Yeah.
That's toxic. Toxic because if you need that person's constant attention and you're not willing to give them the liberty to be with other people that they have relationships with as friends, then that's concerning.
Yeah, it is.
That's
It is.
concerning.
It is. Put it down. There's a red flag.
Actually, that one
Yeah.
goes with that one too.
Another red flag that when people are dating, because when you're dating, you're kind of blind to a lot of things. But one red flag too is that you see that the person and their family are very close. And if you're dating someone and you see that they're close with their siblings, they're close with their parents, and you have an issue with that, then the truth is you're gonna have. If you marry, you're gonna continue having issues. And that's something that if you see that happening, which you will, you can't go into that relation saying, you know what, I know he's close to his family now, but once we get married, it's gonna be about me. No, girlfriend, it ain't gonna be about you because you marry him, you marry the family. That's just reality. So you either got to work on getting together and getting along with the family because you're going to be with that family for the long run. And I think a lot of women, they ignore that red flag because they have this mentality that once we get married, it's just us. I am your family. And then that becomes a problem because if he is attached to the family, it'll bring so much more peace if you're able to get along with that family.
And just enjoy it.
And just enjoy it. But there are some people who are so possessive that they have to have it, that person has to be just theirs. And if they have even another friendship, it's a problem. That is a huge, huge, huge red flag. If you see that he's the type of person that he is controlling, he doesn't want you around your family, he has an issue when you talk to your mom, or you need to start asking God, hey God, where do I go with this situation here? And I can guarantee you that within days God will show you what you need to do.
And it doesn't align with the Word of God if you think about it, because the Word of God teaches us that love is kind and that love is unselfish. So if you're going to have the attitude where you're mine, you can't be anybody else's, you can't spend time with your family, that's you being selfish. How about that person's needs, right? That the family's been in his life or her life way before you came into it. You're either going to be part of that or not.
And when he doesn't like your family, that's another one. If you are dating someone who always has something negative to say about your family, when you have family gatherings he never wants to go, it makes you feel guilty that you're going. That's a huge red flag. Because like you said, before he came along, family was already there. And it's not that you're going to allow your family to destroy your relationship, but you need to know what kind of relationship you're getting into, knowing that your family is going to have some kind of it's going to be a side effect that's going to, your family's going to feel it, whether it be positive or negative.
True.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So, since we're talking about someone who's being possessive, right? What do you think about the person that you're in a relationship with demanding all your passwords and access to your social media accounts?
How
How do you feel about that?
I don't
Your hair.
oppose to that, honestly. I don't oppose to that.
You don't?
No, if you could have mine and I could have yours, yay.
Yeah.
But if you could have mine and I can't have nothing of yours, then there goes my red flag.
Absolutely.
If you could have mine, if you want
Yes.
mine, if you think it's so important that you want it, immediately I am going to demand yours. Immediately. I'm just being honest. Immediately I'm going to demand yours. So, but if you could have mine and I could have yours, then I don't have a problem. But if you could have mine and I can have not even one of yours, there goes my red flag.
I think if you're in a relationship, especially, I'm not saying initially, obviously, I wouldn't be giving off my passwords
No, it has to
on
be
the first
marriage.
date,
No.
but in a
Yeah.
marriage,
In a
right?
marriage.
You're
We're talking
married.
about
I mean,
marriage,
I
yeah.
have all my husband's passwords, but he uses me as his notebook, so he doesn't have to remember any of his passwords. So there's
Yeah,
a catch
yeah.
to that. But I think that if you have nothing to hide, then what's the issue? Right? If you're already sharing bank accounts anyway, why would you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a problem sharing
Yeah,
passwords?
but you also have another side of that where the couple doesn't really care. Like,
Yeah, some people
to
don't
know,
care.
like,
That's true.
Yeah.
you know, like they're solely, you know, I don't need to know your password. You don't need to know my password. You don't ask for mine. I don't ask for yours.
That's what I'm saying. If
That
you
you have to be
demand
okay
mine-
with it.
If you demand mine, I'm going to demand yours. But if you don't demand mine, I don't need yours. So
Yeah,
we're fine.
yeah, yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah,
we're
you have
fine.
to be okay with
Yeah,
it. You know, like,
yeah.
and I think trust plays a lot in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because if you trust the person that you're with, you wouldn't be picking up his phone every second you get.
That takes
You
so
hear
much
a ding,
energy.
ding, ding, and you're running around like a bunny rabbit, jumping from bathroom to
Yes.
kitchen
That takes
to
so
yeah.
much energy. You know?
And there's already mistrust.
Trust,
There's-
yeah.
and that
sign
is
of
a problem.
mistrust.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a huge problem. And someone did in the beginning write that comment
Okay.
about the phone. Like, that's a red flag. Like, if they're on their phone and then when you come in, they put the phone down. Or they're texting and then when you come in, they stop texting. You know, or they're on their phone and you walk by and they turn it.
I would be suspicious of that. I mean, that's like just
Yeah.
stating the obvious right
Yeah,
there, right?
that would make- that
if
would
you're
make- that's
that
a red flag.
uncomfortable, they're obviously trying to hide something.
Correct.
How about if you've been in a relationship, you're getting to know this person, and after a while you start to notice that they don't want to make your relationship public?
Like secret?
Yeah.
That's a red flag. Wow.
That's a all colored flag.
That's like,
Red, white, and blue.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're serious about your relationship with me, you should be able to let your friends know.
yeah.
I agree.
Or
Yeah.
unless I'm the other, unless
Especially,
I'm
Yeah.
I think
the
like
person on the other
especially
side.
when you're getting to know someone, you really like this person. I would think you'd be so excited for everybody else that's in
meet
your
her.
life
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
know them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may want to ask them like, why?
Yeah.
If I've known you for this amount of time, and I haven't met your parents yet. Why? You know.
And you'll tell me that, oh, I'm going over to my cousin this weekend because they have a family gathering, so you might not hear from me until Monday. Ding, red flag.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Listen,
Red flag.
bring in your comments. I want to see what is a red flag. I was just going to Julianne said I was just going to post that, Claudia. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the thing is that red flags are everywhere, and you have to be willing. Are they all wrong? No. Is
necessarily.
every time you see a red flag, is it a reason for you to just give up on a relationship? No, but it is a reason for you to stop and think: am I willing to keep up with this red flag? Because most likely, if it's embedded in the person, and if God don't have an issue, sometimes we have issues with something they do that God don't have no issue with it,
At all.
and that irks us. Because we're like, God, are you serious? Like, come on now,
No,
seriously?
Yeah.
But that necessarily it's a red flag for you, but it's not a red flag for anyone else.
Absolutely.
What about this one? Different in financial values.
Ooh, that's one that breaks a lot of marriages right
Yes.
there.
Yeah,
Destroy.
financial
That's
stress.
Destroy.
if you're not equally yoked in that one,
Yeah.
that's gonna
Yeah.
be a battle.
Yeah, so I think one of the red flag in that area is like, and this is again for married couples, because you're not going to sit down and talk financial discussion with someone who you're dating and not
Yes.
planning to marry. But when you're married and you're in the relationship now, okay, so what's our future? What you think? Okay, this is what we're making. What you think we should be saving from this? And making the goal and sticking to it. You know, or doesn't try to avoid anything to do with finances. Once you said, oh, honey, let's do the bills, you know, we have this, we have that to pay, or we'll talk about it tomorrow, or you can deal with it, you know, I don't have to know.
Keep putting it off.
Yeah, that's a red
Or
flag.
you have a wife that likes to buy
Yeah.
new clothes all the
All
time,
the time,
and brand
constantly.
new shoes and
And
brand
hide
new
them in the
purses.
trunk and bring them upstairs when you're going to
and
work.
now you're in debt and you can't
You
quite
can't
agree
yeah, yeah,
on that.
on
That's
yeah.
a problem.
That's a problem.
So, what do you feel about someone, whether a friend or someone you're in a relationship with, who complains you're not available enough, active enough, or understanding enough?
Oh.
A lot of enoughs. There's a lot of enoughs on that
Yeah,
one.
but when will it be enough
Exactly.
for that person?
I think that's deep in the sense where you probably have to just sit and talk about it. Why you said I'm not understanding enough? Because you have to, because remember what is understanding for you
Exactly,
is not
it's
understanding for the
different.
next person is different.
Yeah.
So when you said, oh, the kids have a game tomorrow, can you tell them? I said, no, I can't take them. And the person didn't explain to you that the reason why I can't take them is X, Y, Z. I have a meeting, I have a conference, I have, just to say I can't take them. That could be a barrier. Because to you, that's a turnoff. Maybe you'll accept it better if they said, I can't take them because I have a meeting, I have a game, I have to meet someone, more than just say, you take them, with no explanation.
I actually just had to go through with that with my oldest son. He just started working several months ago, and he's been working like 5 days a week until 10 o'clock at night, gets home, is doing homework until midnight. Yesterday he was doing homework until 1 in the morning. And he had a friend of his that only wants him to be friends with him, doesn't want to share him with anyone, and who's constantly complaining, you don't have time for me. If my son has a day off, like he just recently made plans to go out with all his friends. He didn't want to go because everybody else was going. And this has been going on for quite some time, and I had to sit down and have the conversation because I see how conflicted he's been about this, and I have to literally tell him it's time to let go. This isn't healthy. This isn't healthy for him, and it's certainly not healthy for you. It's time to cut ties and wish him the best and let go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Wow.
Because that'll
Yeah.
have a negative effect on both ends.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
be-
too much pressure for
it's
him.
Yeah.
way too much pressure, especially for a 16-year-old to
Yeah,
handle.
that's too much pressure, yeah.
And you think you wouldn't see that with
boys.
right? That's
Yeah.
something more with
Girls, yeah.
But my son felt, well, you know, he suffers with depression. I need to help him. What if he does something to himself because I'm not giving him the attention?
That's too
I'm
much
like
burden.
that.
That's
That
too much
sounds a little bit
responsibility,
too. That sounds a little bit too controlling. You know, it's kind of time to cut ties with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just say you're dating someone and he or she has children. That's something that you have to be willing to really, it's not just saying, oh, you know, they have children, okay. No, you got to sit down and really think this thing through. Because like we were talking prior to the program beginning, children are there in the long run. Are you ready, if you're entering into a relationship and she happens to have children and you don't, are you ready to take on the place of stepdad, the responsibilities that come along with it? Because that's something we see a lot today. And you know, and a lot of people do blindly go into serious relationships only to jump out of it when this here starts getting a little tricky.
Yeah, and I think you have to be mindful that it's not only working as a step parent, but you actually have to work with the other parent.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have to be willing
There's
to
always
work
someone
with
in the
there's-
picture.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 3 people in this relationship that are going to be making decisions about these children, and you have to be respectful, especially if you're the one coming in. You have to be respectful to what the parents' decisions are about that
Yeah.
child.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sacrifice that has to be done on both ends. And
the other thing in that mix is that the child themselves might resent you. Yeah.
Or they might use it to manipulate. right?
To manipulate.
To
The
be
child
like, okay.
themselves might resent, oh, he's marrying to you, he didn't marry to my mom, you're not my mom. They
exactly.
might be rude, they might be, defiant. Are you willing to work through that? Because that's a huge problem, and
Yeah.
it's your daughter, she doesn't listen to me, and it's your son, and everything,
Yeah.
as you said, manipulation, run to daddy or run to mommy, it depends on whose side, so it's a very
That's
tricky.
a thin line.
yeah, in a
very
very
thin.
delicate,
Very
place,
delicate.
and you really do
Yeah.
have to know.
because the younger child's
what you're
easier
getting
to bend. Older child, 9, 10, 11, 12, forget it. You have your work cut out for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
have
you
your
got to
work
be
cut
willing. You got to
Yeah.
you got to understand that you're going into that relationship saying, if I see him doing something wrong, how am I going to take it if I have to reprimand him? And he'll look at me and say, "You're not my father."
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And you have to, be able to put up with it. I mean, this is and this is something that we need to really be aware of, ladies. Prior, we really got to think. It's not just saying, that brother came into my life, he's fine. He's just fine. He's everything I prayed for. But wait a minute. Everybody has baggage.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody comes into relationships with baggage. You may not know all of the baggage that's in that. You may not know everything that's in that bag, but that bag is full. And the things that along the years, things will start coming out of that baggage. And when you see a red flag prior to getting into that serious relationship, you have to look at that and say, okay, this is a red flag here, but with this red flag comes all of these other things.
Yeah.
Am I willing to bend? Am I willing to not say something when I really want to say something? Because you really can't just think here and now. You got to think ahead.
In the long run.
In the long run, like if
Yeah.
I'm going to marry you, I'm going to marry all of you.
And
It's you, it's your kids, it's your mom, it's your dad,
Yep.
it's your brother, it's that crazy cousin of yours that I don't like that's constantly over at my house.
Yeah.
Because once you marry, that crazy cousin will probably be over a lot
Popping
more
over.
often. So these are things that sometimes we laugh at. We say, oh, this is funny. It could be funny now, but when things start getting really serious and life starts to really hit, these things can even cause people to
Separate.
yeah.
And I
to
think
separate.
especially when you're getting into a relationship with someone who has children, your concept of parenting could be very different from really, like I had a concept of what parenting was prior to having kids. Once I started having children, it's like, let's just throw all that out of the window
yeah.
because now we're in survival mode here. So, that too, you have to be respectful that you're coming into this where there's already parents involved.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure you give them the room and the space to allow them to make decisions that they need to make about these children.
and respect what the parent of the child
Absolutely.
says, even though it would be different from what you see. It's a very delicate.
Yeah, and I think when you come on to discipline, I think they'd have to set rules. Okay, we're gonna get married, and these 2 kids are gonna now live with us. You should decide who's gonna be the disciplinarian.
Yeah, because there's always one in
Yes.
the relationship.
Who's gonna? Okay, something went wrong. We're gonna talk to your dad when he comes home about it, and he's gonna fix it. Because if not, I'm screaming, you're screaming. The child is gonna be confused.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the disciplinarian and say, okay, when your dad come, you will let your dad know that you're failing match, and he will talk about it, and then let's have dinner.
Yeah.
And when
Now
that
let me
comes,
ask
that
you
deal with that.
something, Jan. Let's just say a person is dating someone who has children, and they're really falling in love with this person, but their children do not like you, and they don't hide it. They make it bluntly. They just bluntly, I don't like you. Like how do you think a person in that situation should go forward?
Well, the choice is yours. Do I base my life, my future marriage, my life,
Yeah.
on your decision? Is it going to affect me? Is it going to change me? If it's not going to change me, if you come straight up and tell me, I don't like you, I'll never accept you as my stepmom, you'll never be a part of my life, fine, if I still want to go on. But if the person honestly tell you, you have to accept them. People show you and tell you exactly who they are. And you have to accept them at face value. Because they're telling you, this is who I am. Now it's up to you. The choice is yours. And the man, my daughter is not going to accept you. Are you still willing to marry me? I could live with it. I could still be a part of your family. I'd still love you. I'd still love her. I still care for you the best way. And if that's the case, you could go on. But don't fool yourself and think she's going to change. She told you straight up.
She might never change.
She might never change. So
She may never, you know.
so,
Yeah,
but don't
she
go
may.
into the relationship thinking that, okay, I give her 4 years. I give her 3 years when she see I'm taking care of her dad, or when she see how happy we are. No. If you want to go in accepting that she'll come over probably once a year for Thanksgiving dinner, but that's the relationship we're going to have. And I could live with that. If you
Yeah.
could live with that, then it's fine.
Yeah, but if you're starting in the relationship where these children are a bit younger and you still have a lot of years before they get out of the house, you have to...
No, if they're in the house, it's a different story.
Yeah, you have to be
Oh, if
mindful
they're in the house, it's a different
that
story.
it's going to take a lot of work.
But you know, sometimes people get remarried and have older children, and then for whatever reason, even in their 40s, and the kids are now 20, 21 and on their own, and then the dad or the mom get remarried. She said, oh, you'll never be my stepdad. That's different. If you want to continue with your life and both partners agree that, listen, she said it, I accept it, I respect her for it, and I'm moving on, then that's fine. But if they're in the home,
Yeah.
That's different.
it's a
Yeah,
different thing, because
absolutely.
you have to still wash their clothes, still make their lunch, still go to parent teachers meeting. You know, if they're sick, you have to be in the hospital all night. So
And know that deep down inside, they don't accept you.
accept you.
You know, that's
it's
something
that's
you really
tough.
got
yeah, it's very tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's finish up, ladies. What else do you have there?
I have changing their attitude when things doesn't go their way. We just discussed that because that's what it's all about. And then my next one is caring for their parent. We kind of discussed that before.
Yeah.
I think how the person you're getting into a relationship with, how they treat their parents says a lot,
Yes, it does.
right? It says a lot. If they're disrespectful,
have something
that's
to
a
write.
red.
That's
That
a
would
red
be a
flag.
red flag for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, so we'll do that.
Yeah.
Caring for
Listen,
their
I have one that may be funny, but it can be a problem. She's very loud. She's just loud, and she likes to talk a lot. Like, she's just loud, and she just loves to talk a lot. The thing is, that's who she is. When you take a woman, you got to take her for everything that she is. So
That she is,
if you already dating, and everywhere you enter, she, hey girl, what's up? That's her character, most likely. That's how she's going to be. You're not going to
All
be
the
able to
time.
change her. So you got to be able to say, you know what? Even though I'm a quiet person, I really don't like to talk much. I'm okay with her being like that. And just think it's for the long run. It's for the long run. You know, she's just going to be loud because that's just her character. You know, does opposites attract? Yes.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it does.
And I think in a
But-
relationship, you're always going to be opposite. You're going to either have the introvert and the other
Outgoing.
one that's outgoing, that loves to meet people, that loves
Yeah,
to
yeah.
talk. But that's what makes, I think, you have to have that balance too.
Sure.
I agree. You can't have someone identical to how you are.
Yeah, someone that too
I mean,
quiet.
identical in the things I think that matter, agreement in the things that are important.
Yeah,
You know
the
what's
values.
funny is that
Personality.
if people that are married, if they were to look right now at a, we got a red flag from one of our guys over here. If you were to look at your spouse, if you're married and you're looking at your spouse, most likely you're gonna see that you're opposites.
I'm a complete opposite of my husband.
Are you opposite of your husband, Jen?
We've become
Yes.
more alike through
Yes.
the years, I think. We've definitely fused more and became a little bit more alike through the years, but yeah, we were complete opposites.
I'm opposite. My husband is more outgoing, more outspoken, more friendly than I am. If he goes to a restaurant twice Believe me, the next time
Everybody
he
knows
goes, everybody
him.
knows his name. Everybody knows his name. He knows the chef. He knows exactly what he wants.
absolutely.
So he's more outgoing. I will just say hi, hello, and keep going. And sometimes he tells me, Janet, you don't smile. Sometimes he told me I'm very firm. My face is always,
Really? I wouldn't say that.
Oh,
I
so you
wouldn't
tell me
think
all the
that.
time, you don't smile, sometimes you're not pleasant, Because that's me, hello, how are you? And I'm gone. But he would talk and make conversation, and I'm like,
yeah.
let's go.
I could
Yeah.
see that. I mean, I have a friend for 20-something years. When I first met her, no names mentioned.
No names mentioned.
No names
No
mentioned.
names
I'm
mentioned.
like,
Yeah.
oh wow, she's really serious all the time.
Yeah.
And she's very hard to crack a smile out of her. And then
My
you get
husband think I'm
to meet this
serious.
person, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
wow, she's
Yeah.
special,
Yeah.
But
You care to mention who that person?
no names mentioned.
And she married the
names.
opposite.
You did.
Yeah.
I married so much of the opposite that it irks me sometimes.
Yeah, my husband is
Like
very-
seriously, do you
you
have to
did.
go from the waiting room to the bathroom and already make another friend?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like seriously?
Yeah.
He's
I
a
mean,
people
like that.
person.
You know, it's crazy how opposites attract.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it is.
So you said you have something from one of our friends here today.
Yeah, and he actually hid.
He's
actually
hiding.
hid. He said, listen, a red flag, he says, your wife, what do you do when your wife is close to her ex-husband because of the children they have together?
I think
define close. Talking on the phone, constantly talking on the phone.
Define close.
I
If it's
think
talking on the
you
phone
would. You have to
constantly.
be close to that
Define
person.
close.
Yeah, but
to
define
make
close.
it work.
How close are you talking?
Like if you're going
Yeah.
out to dinner alone, I would say I would probably feel uncomfortable with that. But if
Yeah.
you're on the phone discussing the kids and decisions you have to make in regards to the kids, that should be like that. But if you're hanging out,
But again, it's
That
that
would
red
leave me a
flag that
little
we just
insecure.
spoke about, though. You already know that the person has children when you're getting
Children, yeah.
into, and they're not just part of
But
the
I
child's
honor-
life; they're part also.
I honestly think there's a way that
the
you
ex.
could talk to your ex about the children. Say we're in the car, scenario. We're in the car driving, the phone ring, it's her on the phone. You just click the phone and speak. I'm right there. Especially if you think I'm having a problem with it. You click the phone and speak and said, hi Sharon, how are you? Oh, I'm just calling to let you know that, listen, Matthew is dropping in grades and you need to be on top of him, blah, 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 whatever, and you talk and fine. But if she's gonna call on the phone and you take up the phone and go, I said, I can't talk to you now, I'll call you back later.
yeah, that's strange.
That's strange. Or you take up the phone, excuse me, and you go in the bathroom or you change,
Yeah, there
go
should-
to a
there should
different
be
room.
more
There should be more
transparency,
transparency. So
right?
once there's not transparency, then I'll have a problem. But if there's transparency,
And
I
it
don't
does
have a
take a
problem.
village to raise children.
Yes,
so
it does.
the faster you can work as a team, I think
it will be better.
it would be
Yeah,
better for the children
Can
and
we get
even
the
for
response here?
yourself.
That would be better.
They
No?
cowered out on responding to
Something.
your
Well,
question.
I
Maybe
have.
we covered it all.
Did we-
Yeah,
maybe
but
we
you know what,
covered
we're gonna actually, we have to end this now because we did go over 20 minutes. But I think we're gonna have to continue with the red flag topic. You know, because there's so much,
Yeah, because we have red flags in our health.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's so many also, when you get a chance, you're going to see people who left comments that we just cannot get to right now. So I think we should continue our next
Okay.
program with the red flags because there, like we said, there's so much more areas
Yeah.
that red
Cover.
flags have to be dealt with. And see, I want you to just take a look at the table right now. I just want you to be able to see this here. We started off in the beginning with the table absolutely clear. There was nothing
Right.
there. In a table, you can look at the table like our life, ladies, right? Like, you know, our life, when we start off, you know, we grow up, we were raised, we're children, everything is innocent, everything is this and that. But along life, you get all of these different kind of red flags. And you see the difference from prior to us talking about it to now. And we haven't even we only tackled half
Right.
of what we really had to talk about. So this just shows you that red flags are everywhere, everywhere, in friendships, in marriages, in relationships, in work, in church, in health, in all areas of our lives we have red flags. The thing is, the red flags are not always a bad thing. They're not always a bad thing. Just because you see a red flag doesn't mean you just got to drop that individual because I see this red flag. You have to ask yourself, am I willing? If this red flag doesn't change, am I willing to put up with this thing? If his mannerism doesn't change, if he's rough around the edges and he just doesn't change, am I okay for the rest of my life being married with somebody who's rough? That's something that we have to ask ourselves. But listen, it was a pleasure being with you all here, pleasure being connected with you all here. Jen, thank you.
Thank you. for
Claudia,
having
thank
me.
you. We're going to
Thank you for
continue with this
having us.
red flag topic. I just want you to know that we're here for you. We're here for you. If you want to, if there is something that you're going through and you don't want to put it into the comment section, you can messenger any one of us. We will return your message as soon as we can. And we're here to help you. We're here to help you get through whatever it is that you may be facing in your life. Thank you again for connecting. This was your program, Real Talk, a program by women for women because of women. Until 2 weeks from now, until next time, God bless you. And remember, when you see the red flag, be aware of the red flags. All right? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Something many have come across but rarely have paid close attention to. If the proper attention was given to it, more and more will accomplish greater success and experience deeper happiness. What is that, you ask? We are talking about better understanding red flags. Though sometimes confused with deal breakers, the two are different. Deal breakers are things people know they don't want, but red flags are things they tend to miss. It is the first step to leveling up your love life or making that professional business power move. Today on Real Talk, understanding and identifying red flags will give you the insight you need to save your time, energy, effort, and most of all, allow you to make sound decisions in every area and aspect of your life.